Welcome to Onslow County Today. I'm your host, Lisa Whitman-Grice, and today we have a broad range of topics to address. We're really going to look at a variety of services that Onslow County offers, from park and recreation to peers to public health to the museum, and we'll also be talking about who and what we are as a county. We are so glad that you are joining us for Onslow County Today. Welcome back to Onslow County Today, and joining us is a familiar face, Katie Lemaire with Onslow County Peers. Katie, thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me.
You know, we've talked about different things with each visit, but one of our annual conversations is about your very special Masquerade event that you all host.
Yes.
Of course, we had a little bit of a downtime and a little lapse there, and now you all are back full force.
Yes, we are.
Loving and taking care of our kiddos.
Yes.
And tell us about your big Masquerade event you have coming up.
Well, we're always very excited. The Masquerade Ball is such a fun event. Tickets are $60 each. You can get a table for $480. This year it's going to be at the Swansboro Rotary Civic Center, which is a new venue for us.
Sure.
But we heard it's really classy and make it beautiful, and women dress in their finery, their long gowns, and men are in their dashing suits, and it's just a fun time. We have a wonderful dinner by Texas Roadhouse. You have a band. We have the Carolina band this year.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so lots of dancing and lots of casino games, and you win tickets from your games, and then you go into a drawing, and we have some fabulous prizes for the drawing. Every prize is valued at least $200, and we have a patio one of those
the heaters. Oh,
yes.
They're the best. Yeah.
We have a 50-inch TV. We have some fabulous prizes. And best of all, it's a time where we can be together and see folks that you haven't seen for a while, and it's a really fun event.
Well, you know, you have sort of had a little bit of a change in that.
Yes.
We first sort of had sort of a Mardi Gras, do it in February, but now you're in the late fall. It's still sort of that Halloween, but winter holiday
Yes.
seasons. And so this Masquerade Ball, tell us the exact day and time that it will be held.
It'll be November 5th, which is a Saturday this year, because we
Okay.
had lots of people say it was really hard to get there after working on Friday.
Sure.
So we're beginning at 6 p.m. and it'll go till 9. Like I said, everybody's in their finery, so it's a very formal event, and we do have a cash bar. And with your ticket, you don't only just get dancing and a fabulous meal, you get 2 tickets for champagne, and you also get 2 game tickets. So it's a fun evening.
All right, so we're all dressed up, and of course, your mask you can design it, or there are lots of things you can order. And again, that time of year, perfect time of year
Absolutely.
to be finding those.
And it's so fun. And then we have our unmasking, because it is about unmasking childhood trauma.
And let's unpack that a little bit. So we're talking about the idea of, oftentimes we talk about preventing, certainly,
Yes.
and being aware of child abuse, but the difference here is that we've got a little bit of a change in language.
We do.
And we talk about that everyone in some capacity has experienced childhood trauma. We now no longer say what's wrong with you. We say what's happened.
Exactly.
What's happened in your life
to you? Yes.
Right. So let's talk a little bit about why this is so key to what you all do at Peers.
So we have decided to work diligently with unmasking those adverse childhood experiences, the ACEs. And now this year we are adding the resilience to each and every one of our parenting classes, because it's so vital for not just for the help of the children, but for the help of the parents, because parents for a very long time have felt like something was wrong with them, and we want them to know that we love them and we want to know what has happened.
Right, so you come to experiences and you're, why am I processing this
Yes.
differently? Why can't I seem to handle the ups and the downs, or what would somebody might see as just a regular everyday
Absolutely.
occurrence?
And we can't prevent childhood trauma until we deal with the parents' trauma, because they can't get better to be better parents until they face their own trauma. So we at Peers, of course, want to prevent child abuse and neglect. That is our mission, and we do that by starting with parents.
By starting with parents, and we all know, and we're going to remind folks certainly that the mission of Peers is to build these strong parenting skill sets.
Yes, yes. And our Masquerade Ball does help with the funding of the Parent Education Enhancement Program. And then extra goes to the building fund, because we don't have any grants or anything that takes care of our building. And you know, we do have a very old house that we work in and we love dearly.
Well, and you know, and I think that's the charm. We always talk about that when Tandria Leach is here, your leader over there.
Yes.
We talk about that idea that you want those children and those parents who are coming there to feel like they're at home.
Absolutely. It's very important to us that we instill in our families that we work with that Peers really is truly your village, that we are there to help and to walk the walk with you.
All right, so we want to one more time remind folks how they can purchase tickets.
Yes.
How do they get in contact with Peers to get those?
Sure. So we have a QR code that is going to be on our website and on our Facebook page. So you can get your tickets through Eventbrite. That's where the QR code goes. Or you can come at Peers and we'll take cash, check, any kind of cards. We'll do all that. Last day to get tickets is October 28th.
Okay.
So there'll be no tickets sold at the door.
Alrighty, so no tickets at the door, and we can purchase our tickets either online through your website as you link us there,
Sure.
or directly from you all there at the Peers House.
Yes.
And one more time, the day, date, and time.
It will be November 5th, Saturday, at the Swansbury Rotary Civic Center. It begins at 6 p.m.
All right, well, we are so excited about this year's event, but most importantly, we applaud what you all do in caring for our children and families, and we look forward to this year's Masquerade Ball.
Thank you so much for having me.
Welcome back to Onslow County today, and we have a very special guest. Our county manager, Sharon Griffin, joins us. Thank you so much, Sharon, for being here.
It's always a pleasure to come talk with you, Lisa.
Well, you have been busy is an understatement. You have led us, as we say the last 4 years, right? So from Florence through COVID, and now really this sort of renaissance time is how I'm viewing this time. And you've brought with you a sort of a roadmap, a county map of all 100 counties that really paints a picture of who we are in this moment of Onslow County. And we wanted you to come here today to talk a little bit about that county map book, but also not just the data, because data's numbers, but how we apply that knowledge and that data. So tell us first a little bit about what this county map book has been all about.
I will. Thank you, Lisa. We did just come back from the North Carolina Association of County Commissioners annual conference, and Onslow County is one of the members of this association, along with all of the other 100 counties, the other 99 counties,
Right.
I should say, 100 total in the state of North Carolina. One of the real benefits that we derive from being part of that association is talking with other counties and getting a perspective of where we stand, getting ideas about how we could better handle some of the problems that we have in common, and finding those collaborative solutions with other county governments. The North Carolina Association of County Commissioners, in conjunction with the University of North Carolina, produces an annual map book which shows us actually where we stand in certain data fields with the other counties in the state. And it's always interesting and always gives us a very useful snapshot of where we are in Onslow County and how we've changed.
Well, you know, I want to imagine we talk about 100 counties.
Yes.
And we talk about from truly the mountains to the coast, and then that Piedmont in the center and our triangle, and how, one, different. We're all parts of a whole for our state of North Carolina, but how different they are geographically, and what their economies might be driven by. But then this book reveals more depth to that. And share with us some of the takeaways. This is brand new. I mean, we've just gotten this and we're all still sort of processing. But what are those immediate, as we look at this, what does it tell us about our county?
I think it tells us a lot about our county. Some of the things we've already known. We are tremendously unique, and we're unique in a lot of wonderful ways. One of the things that stands out is that we're number one in the state for the lowest median age. So we continue now to have the youngest population in the state of North Carolina, in Onslow County. And that has so many different ramifications when we look at planning for the future, when we budget for building elementary schools, when we look at programming, when we look at services, to know that we have by far the youngest population in the state of North Carolina.
And that median age is 25, 26?
It's really low.
Right.
It's really low, yes.
And so that also speaks to certainly a reflection that we are the home of Marine Corps Base Camp Lejeune.
That is correct.
So that's there. But it also means not just those young service personnel who are oftentimes beginning their military careers, but their dependents, their families, their spouses and children.
And so when we look at the work that our Department of Social Services does, we look at emergency services, we look at funding our school system, we're going to keep in mind that our community is supporting a very wide population of young families and a lot of children, and that really does change how we look at the future.
Now, we've got all those young families, certainly, and they come also from all corners of the country, as well as the world oftentimes.
Exactly.
And so they also bring with them different life experiences, cultural experiences, and expectations as well.
They really do. One of the other statistics that's highlighted in the book is, of course, veteran population. And as you mentioned, with having Camp Lejeune here in our county, we have a lot of veterans who come here and either decide to come back once they've retired, or they just stay here when they get out of military service. And we are second in the state for our veteran population. And again, when we look at veteran services, which is one of our departments that works with veterans to make sure that they get the services that they can get and that they live a good life here in Onslow County, we know that looking ahead, we will need even more personnel to help us in that particular department.
And it really is when you're in that stage in your life, when you have served your country oftentimes and then have made the decision to retire, you've chosen to stay here.
That's right.
So you've looked around and you said, I could go home or I could go anywhere in the country, but I've chosen to stay here in Onslow.
I think a lot of folks, when they first move into Onslow County, they don't expect to see what they actually find here. Most people, when they come here, they're not sure how they feel about it, and then they absolutely love it. And I hear that over and over and over again.
That is a common story that is shared. Now, we do want to talk about that older population as you retire and as we get beyond that age of 60, 65 plus. We see a little bit of a change, but those numbers are continually changing for us here in Onslow County as well.
They are. We have a lot of great opportunities here for folks to come retire. We're not one of the larger populations of folks over 65 right now as compared to other areas of the state, but I think that's probably an area of growth for us in the future.
And I think we're seeing it. I think as we've looked at these map books in the past, we've seen this kind of gradual increase.
Absolutely.
And when it comes to planning, a gradual increase is something that is better than something that's a sort of a rapid in your lap.
Absolutely. I think another thing that we saw out of this map book, which I think is great news, you've heard a lot about broadband in the last couple of years and increasing broadband opportunities. And while we always want to increase our access, particularly in our outlying rural areas, to broadband. We're fourth in the state for the number of computing devices in the hands of our citizens, and we're sixth in the state for internet access. So I think that really speaks to us having an upper hand in technology.
Well, the idea of that upper hand in technology, and certainly as the last 2 years have told us, that access, being able to be remote, whether it's education or work or just your family being able to order what you need for your home, has revolutionized the way that we sort of live our lives.
It really has, and it gives our population access to all of the services that across the state, to educational experiences, and to many other, as you say, employment opportunities that they might not have otherwise, which is really exciting.
Now, the last thing we sort of want to talk about are those things that challenge communities. We've talked about who we are, but also how we serve folks. And there's a conversation we're always talking about, and we recognize during the last 2 years, things like food insecurities for family and especially children. While we don't want to lessen our efforts, again, this book revealed something that was a little bit surprising, I think.
It was, and to your point, I think we're always concerned about food insecurity and ensuring that we have families and children that are supported in our community as they grow. It's always something that we're going to have to work on, but when we look at where we stand as compared to the rest of the state, we actually fared better by comparison than we might have anticipated. We're actually 84th out of 100 counties in child poverty, and in that particular scale, being number one was not a positive. It would have meant that you had the highest child poverty rate, and we're actually 84th.
84th.
And that is excellent.
Well, it also, what it says to me in a more anecdotal way is how much our, not just Onslow County, but our non-governmental agencies and our church agencies and so many philanthropic groups here in the county have come together and fill those gaps.
Absolutely, and I think it does speak to that. Our county has always, to me, been unique in that it's a great big place with a very small town feel, and people are very interconnected, and I think that helps reduce some of these challenges that we all face.
Well, I think that's the great point, and a great point for us to sort of wrap things up. When we talk about 100 counties, Wake County, Mecklenburg County, but our next door neighbors are Jones County and Carteret County, and we're sort of surrounded by these more rural agrarian places. But we're a big place. I mean, we've surpassed that big 200,000 mark.
We have, and we're growing at a steady clip. In fact, we're trying to keep up with growth and to have services that reach all the needs of our citizens as we grow. But we are very different from those counties that are close by. We continue to enjoy a strong regional working relationship with all of them, but we do bring something different to the table.
We do, being an economic center and a commercial center. But again, holding on to that hometown. We're a big hometown for a lot of people.
We're a great big small town.
We're a great big small town.
And most of us really like it that way.
We're a great big small town that ranks number one in our youthfulness.
That's right.
And 84th in the needs of our children. I mean, it shows what a great snapshot. Ms. Griffin, as we sort of close things, what would you encourage our citizens to, as they look at this book and we make it available?
I think it's important for citizens to see what we're achieving as a county. Everybody, all of our citizens working together, and to be proud of who Onslow County's becoming.
Well, we thank you. We thank you for your time and your leadership, and for giving us a snapshot at who we are.
Thank you.
Welcome back to Onslow County Today, and joining us now is Lauren Santoyo from Onslow County Parks and Recreation. Lauren, welcome back.
Thank you. Glad to be here.
Whew, Lauren, the summer's over.
Yes.
Y'all are exhausted.
We are.
But you didn't stop.
We kept going.
So you kept going. September is right here upon us, and you all have two special events planned. Let's start out talking about your kids' night out so that maybe parents can have a bit of a break and catch up.
Yes. So our kids' night out is on September 23rd on a Friday night from 5:30 to 9:30. It will be held at the Old River of Life Church on 1940 Gum Branch Road.
Okay.
So it is Disney themed. So we're going to do some activities, some fun and games. Dinner will be provided for them as well with the movie at night.
All right, so this is a kids' night out. This is for kiddos ages?
From 5 to 12.
All right, kiddos ages 5 to 12. Parents drop them off?
Yes, but they need to pre-register on onslow.recdesk.com.
Okay, super easy to register for that.
Yes.
That way you go ahead, and once you're registered on that site, anytime you all have a special event, we just go right through that portal, right?
Yes, correct.
Okay.
And it's $20 a child, and then it will be a $5 discount if you have 2 or more.
All righty. So get discounts for multiple kiddos.
Yes.
And then we pre-register, we show up that night, and we come dressed as our favorite character.
Yes.
All righty. So pick a princess or a hero or a villain.
Yeah.
I mean, those villains can be pretty cool. Okay.
Or Star Wars even. They added Star Wars and Disney.
So any of your favorite characters that you want to be, come dressed that night. This is sort of a pre-Halloween, an early. So come, and then you guys are going to have pizza and movies and games.
Correct. And activities and crafts. So they'll bring home a little craft.
All righty. Now, in that, you say 5 to 12, we've pre-registered. Where does it max out? What's the maximum number of children you can accept?
Our max kids is 50 because of staff and everything. We try to have that ratio pretty handled.
All right, so our ratio, we've got 50 kiddos max, 5 to 12, all kinds of characters running about for a great night of fun. And again, the time that you're going to let parents have their time out will be what?
From 5:30 to 6. We want them to drop them off.
5:30 to 6, drop them off, and the event lasts until what time?
9:30.
9:30.
That's the max time we want.
All right, then it's bedtime.
Yes.
Everybody's got to go home.
Yes.
All right, so that's on the 23rd, Friday night, at the Old River of Life site, okay, they're on Gum Branch Road. And then everybody needs to be rested up, because that Saturday you've got something playing big too.
No, Sunday.
Sunday?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Get a couple of extra days to
Yes.
rest. Okay, go ahead.
On the Sunday on the 25th is our 21-mile bike ride.
Okay.
Yes.
And this is the annual City to the Sea ride.
Yes.
Tell us about City to the Sea.
We start on Piney Green, at the food line on Piney Green, and then there's a route located on onslow.recdesk.com.
Okay.
And then we end on the Hammocks Beach State Park.
And it's how long?
21 miles.
21 miles. Now this is open to all ages, though.
Yes, for free, the free event. The first group will start at 1:30, and then a second group at 2 if needed for slow riders, and then there will be a vehicle for the last rider, so there's no riders left behind.
Okay, so somebody to follow along, that safety person in the back there, and leads it all the way to that beautiful stop there on the waterway at Hammocks Beach State Park. Anything we need to do, is that also pre-registration?
It is pre-registered. You'll get a free lunch as well, and a raffle for bicycle prizes as well.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, you know, during COVID, they talked about how many people bought bicycles, right, to get out and about and enjoy fresh air. So you should have a great turnout there. And that's an annual event. I mean, that's been going on for years and years. So, but maybe some new folks will jump in and ride along. That's awesome. Now, like we said, you all have had a tremendous summer, and with Park and Rec camps and special events. And last month, as we kind of closed out August, you all kicked off the school year for our kiddos. And I know you want to say something about your back to school bash that you all hosted.
Yes, so our back to school bash, we were able to get 700 book bags filled with supplies, and we want to thank all of our sponsors. They were amazing this year, and I'm excited for next year's back to school bash.
I mean, that is a mountain of backpacks.
Our office is quite full.
That is amazing. Kind of, y'all were bursting at the seams there, and then lots of happy kiddos ready to head back. Well, Lauren, it is always a pleasure to have you. Again, let's remind folks, best way to find out anything that Onslow County Parks and Recreation is doing.
Just call us at 910-347-5332, and then all of our programs is on onslow.recdesk.com.
Fantastic. Well, thanks for being here, and we're going to see you next month for a spooky conversation.
Yes, we will.
Welcome back to Onslow County Today. Joining us now is a new face. We have Carson Custy joining us from the Onslow County Health Department. Carson, thanks for being here.
Thank you for having me. Appreciate it.
So Carson, we were talking a little bit, since this is your first visit with us, we want to get to know you a little bit. And you have recently joined our Onslow County Health Department. Tell us a little bit about your background.
So initially out of school, I started in the ICU at Onslow Memorial Hospital and worked heavily with COVID. And I made a transition in career paths, we'll say, to environmental health, and got a little bit of experience in that realm of the public health field. And then I moved on to the public health world as far as communicable disease nurse.
Oh, okay.
So that's currently what I'm doing now.
So you've come on board, and again, as you say, you had a tremendous amount of experience with COVID, and now as you've come to join us here at the Onslow County Health Department, we've got you here today to talk about something that's been in the news quite a bit, but maybe seems still a little bit abstract for some of our viewers, and that's monkeypox.
Yes, ma'am.
And so we want to sort of follow a outline here in our conversation. And the first thing we really want to define for our viewers is, what is monkeypox? Help us understand, how is that different from smallpox or chickenpox?
Sure. So it's actually very similar to the now eradicated smallpox, but it is different in COVID that it's not transmitted as easily as COVID would have been.
Okay.
So monkeypox is a virus caused by the monkeypox virus. So what it usually presents with is a flu-like prodrome. You're going to have some muscle aches, some soreness, fever, and usually what it looks like, the rash is followed by 2 to 3 days, you're going to have a rash. They look like pimples. And then, so those signs and symptoms are going to be occurring until around a couple weeks after that.
I was hearing what you were saying first about how it presents like a flu, and that's sort of our body's warning system, right?
Right, so that's your initial warning flag, hey, something's going on.
Right.
So, if you do feel like you're starting to have a rash or something that you're concerned about, you want to make sure that you're letting your primary care doctor know. They do have the testing capabilities, as well as the Onslow County Health Department. We do have those testing capabilities. We've been working with primary care partners and our community partners as well to get the word out about the vaccine, about testing and the different requirements that you would have to meet to get that vaccine. So let's start there. So first things first, I'm feeling off. I've got this, flu-like, which could be anything, right? That, again, like we said, that's our warning system. And then maybe you do present with that rash. So the first thing we want to do is call our primary care provider, and that's our next logical step. But maybe I don't have a primary care provider. I'm very concerned. I do want to get tested. I can contact the health department? Absolutely, yes. You can definitely reach out to the health department using the main number.
Okay.
And they will get you scheduled for a test. And you want to make sure that you're giving us an advance notice. That way we are able to prepare, so way our staff are protected and that the other clients in the health department are protected as well. We definitely encourage you to come and get tested. However, if you are able to, we do encourage you to go to the primary care. But like we said, if you do not have a primary care, definitely come and see us. Just give us an advance warning so that way we can make sure that you're protected and we're protected as well.
Okay, so
that's for the person who might be ill, right?
Sure.
Who's presenting with symptoms, and we want to direct them to get their best possible care and get tested so that they can begin whatever course of treatment is best for them. But let's also sort of wrap back around a little bit and talk about how someone would be exposed to monkeypox and who might be at risk, because we really want to reach that population and let them know.
Right. So, direct contacts of people who have been in contact with monkeypox or someone who has been diagnosed with monkeypox is definitely one of the ways that you can get monkeypox. There are other ways to get monkeypox. You can be in contact with someone who, say, has had some of the
sort of the symptoms, or
the signs or symptoms, or if they have any of their sores that have leaked or anything, and you come in contact with those objects. We do know that it can survive on objects outside of the body for a certain amount of time. So if you do come in contact with, say, a sheet, or if you're a house cleaner or anything like that, if you work in a motel, you want to make sure that you're still practicing your hand washing, things like that, making sure that you're just practicing good hygiene. So it can be transmitted person to person through direct contact or contact with respiratory secretions. Say if you're, face-to-face, prolonged face-to-face contact.
So it's intimate contact, it's sexual contact,
Sure.
That close personal contact with another individual who has an active case.
Correct.
Right? So it can be transmitted that way. We do know that perhaps, we're seeing it, you can be transmitted from surfaces. But let's talk about sort of, do we know the time frame? We talk COVID, we've all gotten so accustomed to talking about that 3 to 5 days, and then that 5 to 7 days, and that 7 to 10 days. We've all sort of committed that to memory from the guidance. What's the guidance here? Do we know the time frames?
So if you do have that initial flu-like prodrome, you'll typically see the rash, if it even appears, 2 to 3 days after that. Mainly what we're seeing in these cases in the United States are lymphadenopathy or swollen lymph nodes, which is different than how it usually presents. So, the different people that are going to be more likely to come in contact with the illness, while we do want to remind people that anybody can become infected with monkeypox, due to the small amount of vaccine that is available, we want to make sure that we're focusing our efforts in the populations that are most affected by it.
Right, so we want to make sure that those folks who absolutely need access to the vaccinations are made aware of its availability.
Right.
So, and we know that in the country and with each health resource agency, there's a sort of a limited allocation of those vaccinations. So we really want to be mindful in how we're vaccinating, is my understanding.
Right.
So as we're looking at these first efforts to get folks vaccinated, to make sure that people have access to it and know about its availability, who are we really want to talk to first?
So we just, we want to make sure that everybody knows we do have a supply of the vaccine. It is free and highly recommended for people that are 18 years or older and meeting the following criteria.
Absolutely.
So, like we said, there is a certain population that we want to reach out to, and it's going to be our gay and bisexual men or transgender individuals who report any of the following in the last 90 days. And that's going to be having multiple sex partners or anonymous sex, or having been recently diagnosed with a sexually transmitted infection, those who are receiving medications to prevent HIV infection, or PrEP as it's commonly known, or anyone who has had close contact in the past 2 weeks with someone who's been diagnosed with monkeypox. Okay,
so again, we want to make sure, because anyone can contract it, but in these this is sort of this first iteration as it's made itself aware here in the country, and now in North Carolina we do have some counties reporting cases. The best, obviously, first steps is prevention.
Sure.
And so we want to look at vaccinations, and we want to make sure that those first populations that we see as most at risk, but also those who have limited access,
to medical care for a variety of reasons. We want to make sure that we reach those folks. So we've talked what it looks like, what it is. We've certainly discussed, how it presents and making sure that we seek medical treatment. And we've talked about prevention in a number of different ways, from what we've all been talking about with COVID and that personal care and hygiene, to getting vaccinated. The last thing we really want to talk about, Carson, is right here in Onslow County, because that's what people are, is monkeypox, have we had a case? So in this conversation that you and I are having, we've not had any.
That's correct. We have provided testing to several individuals, but like you said, as of now, there are no cases in Onslow County. While this is a dynamic situation, we do want to make sure that everybody is vigilant and keeping an eye out, checking themselves to make sure that they're not presenting with any of those symptoms.
So as we said in the very beginning of our interview, those symptoms sort of are how we all feel when we've got the flu, or perhaps we've had COVID, or any kind of viral infection. I'm achy, I'm fevery, I'm lethargic. Like those are the big three, right? And so as we're heading back to school, as we're getting things, going for the school year, we want to be mindful of those kind of symptoms in any situation, right?
That's correct, and that's a great point to raise. With our kids getting ready to go back soon, and we just want to make sure that our parents feel good, and our teachers and our administrators feel good, that we're not concerned about it spreading in the school age population right now. We would be more concerned about COVID spread, as we're currently in a high community spread, a high community risk population. So we want to make sure that our kids, if they apply, are getting vaccinated, and that they're practicing good hand hygiene.
So we're talking about this idea of keeping our kids safe as we possibly can when we go back to school. We want everybody to be vigilant, because it's not about monkeypox, or it's not about, it's flu, it's COVID.
That's right.
Anybody who has had little kids in school know that common colds turn into sinus infections, turn into ear infections, turn into everybody gets to stay home for a few days because everybody feels, pretty lousy. So let's just talk about that whole idea of back to school hygiene and, washing our hands, little guys.
Right. So we want to make sure everybody knows that the schools are following the current CDC guidelines. We do want you as parents and guardians of the kids that are going back, if your kid is symptomatic, sure, get them tested. If they, after 5 days of isolation, if their symptoms improve without any kind of fever-reducing medications for 24 hours, we want to make sure that the kids are getting back into school and just following that 6 to 10. For the 6 days, 6 to 10, we want to make sure that you're wearing a mask, and then practicing good hand hygiene for sure.
Well, that's just it. We want to keep everybody's had their lives sort of upended over the last 2 years and 2.5 years. And now we have this sort of new concern on the horizon with monkeypox. But COVID's not gone anywhere. It's still our reality in our everyday lives. And so following that guidance, being mindful of that, and knowing that the schools want what's best for our kiddos and we want what's best. And it begins with, as we said, about monkeypox, COVID and flu and other communicable spread diseases and viruses. Begins with that hygiene and that prevention.
Right. And we do want our viewers to know that we're reaching out and we're doing some community outreaches, making sure that we're meeting our people where they are, and making ourselves more available than the Monday through Friday 8 to 5. We do want to give a plug for the immunizations that are required for our 7th graders and our 12th graders.
Yes.
So we're actually going to be out and about September 19th through the 23rd, and then again the 26th through the 28th at designated schools. So just, we want to make sure that our parents are keeping an eye out for that paperwork that may be coming in. The deadline for the paperwork is going to be the 8th of September. And unfortunately, due to the volume, Onslow County's growing. I'm sure we've talked about that. And so we want to make sure that our paperwork is timely, so that way we can adequately meet the needs of our population.
Well, that's just it. I mean, we all know that when kids go back to school, they come home with a stack of papers. Either you signed it at that first orientation day, or it all comes home. And we don't want this lost in the shuffle either. Right. So in the midst of all of our other conversations that you and I've had, we want to make sure that people are aware that, and sometimes we think, oh, our babies got vaccinated and everybody got their starting school. And sometimes we forget that our 12-year-old or our 17-year-old needs vaccinations as well. So with everything else that they have going on in their busy teen lives, we got to remember to do that as well.
Yes, ma'am.
So we want that top of mind as well. So, Kirsten, you have brought a lot to the table for us today. We've talked about monkeypox, certainly, which is sort of, again, that top of mind for folks. COVID, which has been part of our life story here for the last 2.5 years, and just those day-to-day reminders about personal hygiene, washing those hands, being mindful about everything from, a cough to a sneeze, and then reminding us to make sure that our kiddos are taken care of and well immunized. Anything else, or have we covered it all?
No, ma'am. I think we've done a pretty good job.
Now, Carson, we want to remind folks, of course, where the Onslow County Health Department is located.
Sure. So we're actually located in downtown Jacksonville at 612 College Street.
Okay. And the best way to, if we have viewers who have more questions, who have need things sort of gaps filled in, where can they call?
Right. So the best way to get in contact is to give a shout out or a call to the main county number at the health department. It's going to be 910-347-2154.
Okay, and of course you all have very active social media and a great website with great direction to get us to those answers that we need. Finally, we want to say thank you, Carson, for what you do and your team at the health department does. We know that your motto is to keep the well and to prevent the spread of infectious disease and making sure that we're all as healthy as we can be.
Yes, ma'am.
So thank you for that, and thank you for your time today.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Welcome back to Onslow County Today, and joining us is Emily Baker, who has welcomed us today into the museum. Emily, thank you for having us today.
Of course, thank you for coming.
So this is our very special exhibit, Inside Out. We've been here, we've talked about this exhibit a little bit, but we wanted an update. So because everything is new again.
Yes, so that is the purpose of Inside Out. We are showcasing specific themes from the permanent collection here at the museum. So since school is just started going, we said, why not show our school things that we have? So it's kind of representing elementary, some high that you can see, some things that we have from our local schools from the county.
So one of the questions that people ask all the time is, how do we acquire artifacts for the museum's collection? And here I think you have a great representation of how that's happened. Talk to us a little bit about that.
So how we normally, and I would say typically this is how the process happens a majority of the time, is we get folks that have gone to school locally and they have jackets hanging up in their closets. And maybe they've asked some of their children if they want them.
Right?
And, sometimes they do. Sometimes the kids want their parents' items, and other times they're like, what do I do with it?
Sure.
So in that case, they come here because they know they're going to have a good spot for their item to kind of be taken care of for generations to come. And so for those younger kids that come in, they can see those items that represent maybe their school that they went to just at a later date. So they get to kind of relive some of some of their fun times that they may have had at their school, seeing just different representations, I would say, from all of the county schools.
So the one thing that we notice here, for example, is we've got a pretty good wide range of color schemes.
Yes.
We've got a little Jacksonville red and white. We've got some Dixon, Richlands,
yeah, Southwest.
In another section of the exhibit, we've got White Oak, certainly. And of course, we've got a new school. We've got Northside, and I don't know that we have as much from them.
We don't. So especially since Northside is, I would say, a more contemporary built school, it's fairly new compared to some of the older schools that we have represented. So any kind of memorabilia from Northside would always be welcome, because we want to make sure the collection is well represented.
Excellent. And we also have things from Georgetown High School.
We do.
Quite infamous. Tell us a little bit about Georgetown.
So Georgetown was the only high school in Onslow County for African American students here.
So prior to integration.
Yes, ma'am. So anything that represents Georgetown it's awe-inspiring to me.
It is, right? Yeah. And again, it was such a tremendous asset to the community. The alumni talk. There's not a less word than love. They speak about that school with such love,
pride,
reverence, right? And so we do have some things here that represent Georgetown. And of course, our base school, Lejeune.
Yes.
So we have a few things from there.
Yes,
but you've had some surprises, and that's been part of the joy of this exhibit too. You recently shared with me that you, in our collection, was a class ring that maybe our viewers can help us with.
Oh, okay.
So tell us about this Dixon High School class ring from the 20s?
31.
31, okay.
31, yeah. On her class ring was a image or a picture, I guess you could call it that, on the surface of her ring.
So
on the very
embossed
top,
in it.
Yep, on the very top was a hammerhead shark.
So we know that Dixon are the Bulldogs.
Yes.
And we know that their colors are maroon and gold. And that's our recollection. But you also have this class ring.
Class ring, yeah.
And a cap and gown.
Yes.
That's a totally different color scheme.
Blue and white. Their colors were blue and white.
So, and so maybe we've got some Dixon alumni or the children of Dixon alumni who might help us tell that story.
That would be fabulous.
So
any information, history, memories would be wonderful to add and to at least have for that knowledge and understanding of maybe when that transition happened from blue and white colors to what we now see typically of Dixon, which is that maroon and gold. So
and from hammerhead
and from right to a bulldog. How does that happen? When does that happen? And maybe why?
Fantastic. So school's up for the next month.
Yes.
School's in.
School's in.
School's in. And then you've got plans for the fall. So October, November, December, what will we see?
So Inside Out, we're ever changing. So every month we're going to be doing something different. So at the end of this month, school's going to go away. And then come October, we're going to do all things related to fishing. So any kind of marine life ways. That's what we're going to be showcasing. And then in November, since we're going to be getting ready for the holidays, we're going to have anything relating to Thanksgiving, Black Friday, so shopping, family time. That's all going to be represented here. And then, of course, come December, we're going to help celebrate the holidays and showcase some of our more, we'll say, Christmassy, festive-y colors. So you'll see some things from that as well.
All right. Well, this has been, everything that you've heard from our visitors is that they love how everything is new.
Yes.
And that they're getting this behind the scenes. But on top of that, in the midst of this, new artifacts have come in.
Very much so, which is great. I mean, that's what we're here for. We want to keep and maintain and preserve Onslow County's history as best as we can, and as long as folks bring it in, we're going to help do that. But but we need them to come in and we need them to, you know, show us what they have and hopefully let us have it
Well,
so we can hold on to it.
and celebrate it.
Exactly.
Well, Emily, thanks again for welcoming us in. Great job with Inside Out, and we can't wait to come back and see what's here next.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you as always for joining us for Onslow County today, and a very special thank you to each of our guests. To Katie Lemaire from Onslow County Peers talking about unmasking childhood trauma and the upcoming Masquerade Ball. To our county manager, Sharon Griffin, for giving us a snapshot into who we are as Onslow County and how we serve our community. We also spoke today with Lauren Santoyo from Onslow County Park and Recreation, who have some fun and fantastic fall events planned. We also took a serious turn in talking with Carson Custy, talking about monkeypox, but also other communicable diseases and the best ways that we can prevent the spread of those. And finally, a visit with Emily Baker here at the museum, talking about our special exhibit, Inside Out. As always, we are so glad that you joined us for Onslow County today, and we invite you to get out and explore your Onslow County. As always, I'm Lisa Whitman Grice. We'll see you next time.